Welcome to CSI, Cooking Specialty Ingredients, Coulis. This educational video for the Hospitality Education Foundation of Georgia has been made possible by a grant from the Specialty Crop Block Grant Program at the U.S. Department of Agriculture and funding from U.S. Foods and Dexter Russell. In CSI Coulis, Chef Heather Holbert will be showing us different techniques and how to make a coulis. Chef, how should we begin?
All right, Sarah. Well, let's get our mise en place and get started.
Okay. Okay, Chef, what are we making today?
We are going to make a peach coulis. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to start blanching the peach.
All right.
So before you do that, you're going to make a cross mark, basically scoring it. That way you can peel the peach. So go ahead and drop it in the boiling water. And you really just want to give it a few seconds, maybe 30 seconds. And sometimes you'll actually see the peel start peeling off on its own. But you're not going to cook the peach. Basically, all you're doing is helping the peel come off.
Do you think now's a good time to take it out?
I think it is. So what other vegetables would you do the same process with?
Tomatoes?
Exactly. To make what?
To make a tomato concasse.
Exactly. So now you've shocked the peach. So go ahead, let's see if you can peel the peel. And it should come off very easily.
Yeah, it's coming off nice.
Now I see you're not wearing gloves.
Well, since we're going to make a coulis, aren't we going to be cooking it again?
Exactly. So the only time that you would actually be wearing gloves is
when we're making ready-to-eat foods.
Exactly. Very good.
Thank you.
Go ahead and cut the peach.
Just cut it straight out?
And you can just do a rough chop. Again, this is just going to be cooked up and it's going to be pureed. And this looks like it's a freestone peach, which means what? What do you think it means?
I have no idea.
It means that the pit comes right off very easily from the flesh. And the clingstones would be a peach with the pit that's stuck in there. So there's actually a couple of different things. With a freestone, it's a type of peach that you would really eat fresh. And then a clingstone is really a peach that you would use for pies or canning. Go ahead and add that in there. And then I'm going to have you add a little bit of sugar, and we can certainly adjust the sugar content after we taste it. Typically you want to add about 10% sugar, but again, it really depends on the flavor of it starting off, because you always want to taste it. And as it cooks, it also, the flavor changes as well. So you want to season as you cook. So
Build on flavor.
Exactly. So go ahead and add a little bit of sugar. So maybe add, let's start with that first, and then go ahead and stir it up.
So how long do we cook this for?
So the riper it is, the softer it is, the less time it's going to take. But what you want to do is you want to make sure you cook it, and basically you're pasteurizing it as well in this process. And so I want to ask you, Sarah, if you wanted to do a peach coulis, but you wanted to change out the flavor, what are some things that you could add to it?
Some spices, maybe? Some
Absolutely.
Cinnamon, maybe?
Cinnamon would be really good. Vanilla bean.
Oh yeah, that
You could
sounds
certainly
nice.
add other fruits as well. You can make it a peach, say blueberry.
Ooh, that sounds really good.
You can also actually add other liquids in there as well. Certainly add orange juice. You can certainly add other purees. You could add alcohol.
When do you find out whether it's like done? When do you know?
Well, you should be able to, well, the fruit actually starts to break down and it's still keeping its shape. So we want to cook it a little bit more. I'm going to turn this up just a little bit. And then also the color. As you see, it's starting to caramelize a little bit as well.
Brown around the edges a little.
And the caramelization is actually going to enhance or add that flavor, additional flavor that you want.
It smells really good.
Does it? Okay, I think at this point you can go ahead and take it off.
So now we're going to put it in the food processor?
Yes. This is obviously easier and faster. And certainly a hand blender will also work. You can even just mash it up with a fork if it's a soft enough fruit. Perfect. Now what you're going to do is you want to strain this. What's the purpose of straining?
To get out all the thicker pieces, I suppose.
You want to have a nice smooth puree, especially for competitions. Obviously for home or for a restaurant, it's not a big deal. Now, what are some other uses that you could do with a puree?
Could you use it as just like a sauce, or? I'm not sure. What would you use?
Well, you can certainly add a little bit more sugar and actually make it into a sorbet.
Oh, really?
Or a granité. You can also actually use it like in a parfait if you're doing a layered dessert, say with a layer of cake. You could do the puree or the coulis versus doing a vanilla sauce.
Branch out, do something different.
You can also actually use it as a custard if you wanted, by adding some egg yolks into it and making like a peach bread pudding.
Sounds very good.
So there's a lot of different uses with the coulis. Let's go ahead and taste it and make any adjustments with the sugar if we need to.
There you go.
Thank you.
I think it could use a little bit more sugar.
I think so too. So go ahead. It's a little bit on the sour side. Do you taste that? So obviously we don't need any acid in here. Having other additional components to your plated dessert, like your main dessert, whether it's a cake or a pudding, as well as fruit, probably some sort of tuile, and all those things also have sugar in them. So you just want to make sure that when you're doing your coulis, that it's not too sweet, overly sweet.
So that takes away from the rest of the dessert.
Exactly, so you have a nice balance. Yeah, you can definitely taste the peach now.
A little sugar goes a long way.
That's delicious.
So Chef, how are we going to begin?
We are going to make carrot coulis.
All right.
So I am going to have you actually start the mise en place and prep everything out before we start cooking. So you have here peeled carrots, which I'm going to have you do a large dice and make sure they're all uniform, and go ahead and put it into a container. And then you also have some diced onions, and we have some garlic, and then also ginger as well, if you like. And then, you know, depending on what you're doing with a carrot coulis, whether you're using it in seafood or if you're going to have it with a chicken dish, you can certainly add different herbs. I like cilantro. I like to add a little bit of cilantro as well in the end. And again, that gives it a nice, a different flavor to it as well. And you're also going to be using the scrap pieces. Don't waste
Usable
those.
waste.
Exactly. Because that's the one thing that they always look for in competitions is, what are you doing with all the scrap pieces?
So Chef, if we're going to be pureeing this, how come we have to separate the dices from the usable waste?
You can certainly mix the two together for what we're doing. Go ahead and do a rough chop of the garlic. This is where you can kind of play around with this, this idea where you can add other spices or other herbs. If you wanted to add some chilies in there to make it super spicy, you can.
A carrot coulis, would that be considered, what would you eat that with?
It actually plays as a sauce for a dish. You know, carrot coulis works wonderfully on seafood, scallops. It's wonderful with scallops. You can certainly add it to halibut. You can add it to salmon. And I actually like it with chicken as well. I like to add some cumin, add some chili powder into it, and loads of garlic. So, I mean, there's a lot of different applications you can use the carrot coulis. But I think this is a demonstration of how you can take other vegetables and pretty much replace the carrots and do the same idea. It's perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect, since it's actually going to be all cooked together, and then you're going to puree it. So, but that's a good chop.
Thank you.
You're going to do the same thing with the ginger. You're going to peel it. Ginger. You want to peel that and chop that, and then we can get started as far as cooking the coulis. Now, the ginger, and we're not going to use the peel. However, you can certainly use the peel. Don't throw out the peel.
What would you use it for?
Well, you can add it to stocks if you're making a chicken stock and you want it to have a ginger background as far as the flavor. You can add it to like a simple syrup. If you're doing a simple syrup, a mint syrup, if you wanted to add some ginger, or if you're doing a vanilla syrup. There's a lot of flavor in the ginger peel, so you don't want to throw it out. You actually want to save it and use it for flavoring. It just can be a rough chop for this. Because again, it's all going to cook together, and then we're going to puree it, so it doesn't have to be uniform. But again, there's nothing wrong with perfection and making sure everything's uniform. It's only going to just help you out.
Good practice.
Yes, so that's perfect. So now we can proceed and start cooking.
Great.
Why don't we start with olive oil? Start with your garlic. You can add your ginger and your onions, and you can start sweating. We really don't want any color just because we want the beautiful color of the orange from the carrots. But you can certainly, if you wanted, you can certainly caramelize it.
Caramelized carrot flavor.
Absolutely. It's certainly going to give it a different flavor. Add your carrots. So if you want, you can go ahead and add your orange juice, chicken stock. Go ahead and add
A little bit of water.
just top it off with the water. And this is where you can add a bay leaf, you can add some peppercorn if you want.
Ooh, yeah.
It's pretty boundless as far as what you want to add. And then also go ahead and taste it and make sure it doesn't need any more salt. And then we'll also season it at the end.
So now we're going to puree it.
Yes, we're going to finish this coulis off. Just be really careful, it is a hot liquid.
So what defines this as a coulis?
Well, typically most coulis are a smooth sauce. They're usually pureed and they're usually strained. That looks beautiful, Sarah. Look at it. It's retained its color. And the wonderful thing about carrot coulis is that you can serve it hot or cold. You're pretty much left with just all the pulp. Basically taste it again and see if it needs some acid or salt, pepper. Go ahead and stir that up really well. Let's see how thick it is. It actually doesn't look like it needs any more liquid. Let's just taste it. That's pretty good. Yeah.
Taste the ginger.
Yeah, you can definitely taste the ginger.
Thank you for watching CSI Coulis.
And remember, eat your veggies.
Cheers. My shoe's untied.